Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to demystify artificial intelligence for anyone who works with words and ideas. We'll cut right through the confusing tech talk and show you exactly how to get started. You know that feeling when everyone's talking about AI and you're just kind of nodding along, hoping nobody asks you a direct question? Yeah, you are not alone, and you're in exactly the right place to fix that. All right, first things first, let's just bust the biggest myth about AI right out of the gate. This right here, this is the most important thing to get seriously. Using AI effectively has nothing to do with being a coder or a data scientist. It's about clear communication, organizing your thoughts, and asking good questions, skills you already have. Okay, so where do you even start? There are a million tools out there, and it can feel pretty overwhelming. So we're going to forget all that noise and just focus on two really powerful, easy-to-use tools you can try today. So think of it like this. ChatGPT is your creative brainstorming partner. It's what we call a generative AI, which means it actually creates new stuff for you. It can draft emails, come up with marketing ideas, you name it. On the flip side, you've got Perplexity. Think of this one as your super smart research assistant. It's an AI search engine that finds and summarizes information from the web in real time, and, this is crucial, it gives you the sources. All right, let's talk about the lingo. You hear these words thrown around all the time, right? We're going to break down just a few of the key ones, not to turn you into a tech expert, but just so you feel totally comfortable in the conversation. Okay, first up, LLM. You hear this one everywhere. It stands for Large Language Model. The slide says it's like a well-read parrot with pattern-matching superpowers, and honestly, that's the perfect way to think about it. You don't need to know how the engine works, just that it's the brain behind the whole operation. Next up, generative AI. This one is super simple. If the AI is generating something new, like it's creating an email, a poem, or an image from scratch, that's generative AI. Easy, right? Just think generator. And then there's AI search. This is basically the opposite. It's not creating anything brand new. Instead, it's going out and finding, summarizing, and presenting information that already exists online. That's why it's so good for research. Okay. This next one is really important to understand. Hallucination. This is when an AI just completely makes something up. Because at its core, it's just a pattern matcher. It can invent facts or sources or quotes and serve them up to you like they're 100% true. This is probably its biggest weakness. And that leads us right to this quote. Because AI can be so confidently wrong, this is exactly why your human judgment is still the most important part of this whole thing. You have to treat it like an assistant, not an authority. Always, always double-check its work. Okay, last term for now, but I want you to really lock this one in. Context. Because out of everything we just talked about, this word, this idea, is going to have the single biggest impact on whether you get good results or garbage. So let's build on that. Let's talk about how that one little word, context, is the absolute secret to getting amazing, useful answers from AI instead of, that generic stuff. I bet this has happened to you. You've tried using an AI, you asked it something, and the answer you got back was just meh, boring, unhelpful. Well, I can almost guarantee it's because you didn't give it enough context. The AI is incredibly powerful, but it literally cannot read your mind. Just look at the difference here. It's night and day. On the left, write an author bio. That's a vague prompt. You're going to get a vague, generic result. But look at the one on the right. A good prompt gives it all the context it needs. It says, here's the source material, here's who it's for, here's how long it should be, what tone to use, and here's the goal. See? You're not asking it to guess anymore. You're giving it a clear assignment. And your results, they're going to be 1,000 times better. Okay, so before you get all excited and start pasting your life's work into these tools, we need to talk about two really important things: security and the environment. So here's the bottom line on security. Just be smart about it. A lot of the free versions of these tools, they use what you type in to train their models. So if you're working on a private manuscript or some confidential business data, you probably don't want to just paste it in there. You either need to avoid using it for that stuff or upgrade to a paid version where you have more control over the privacy settings. Now, another thing you hear a lot about is the environmental impact. And it's a valid concern, right? These huge AI data centers use a ton of energy. And they do. But it really helps to have some perspective. I mean, look at this chart. When you compare it hour for hour, some of our other daily digital habits, like streaming video, can actually use way more power. And this quote from Time magazine really nails it. So the point isn't that AI is perfectly green. It's not. The point is that it's a complex issue, and the real impact, just like with any technology, really comes down to how we all decide to use it. All right, we've talked about the right mindset, a couple of great tools, the key lingo, and the secret sauce for getting good results. Now it's time to bring it all home. So let's circle all the way back to where we started. This is not about learning some crazy new technical skill. It's about taking the skills you are already an expert in, communicating clearly, organizing thoughts, explaining ideas, and just applying them to a new tool. Seriously, you are already set up to be great at this. So here's your homework, and it's super simple. Don't try to learn everything at once. Just pick one tool, ChatGPT or Perplexity. Then ask it a real question, something you're actually working on. And finally, practice giving it that rich, specific context we talked about. That's it. That's your first step. I love this quote from Fazia Burke. The only mistake is not trying at all. The only way you're really going to get AI and figure out how it can help you is by just playing around with it. You just have to experiment. And that really is the final question, isn't it? It's your move. Forget all the hype, forget the scary headlines. The absolute best way to understand this stuff is to simply use it. So take what you've learned today, open up a new tab, and just ask that first question. Go on. You're ready.